how special is the trilogy in the fact that it's mostly about Bruce Wayne, and that it has a beginning, a middle, and end, and is completely self-contained within itself, and can't possibly be contaminated with, more of a cinematic universe that we are seeing now.
In my opinion, Chris made one movie, not three movies. That is one movie in three acts. It is almost poetic in its structure. Every single setup, that only after seeing all three movies do you even realize the setups from Batman Begins and even in Dark Knight are beautifully paid off, whether it's in Dark Knight Rises or even in Dark Knight. The character arcs are beautiful in terms of how they transform their characters over the period of these three acts. It's quite amazing. What many people don't realize, I think the fanboys all get it, is that if you want to derive the most out of the experience of seeing Dark Knight, it's a great standalone movie. But your experience will be greatly enhanced if you first see Batman Begins. Batman Begins is the underrated star of this whole thing. It sets up everything, in addition to restoring the darkness and dignity to Batman. And people might say, well, box office-wise, it was the least successful of the three. And there's a reason for that, I believe. The reason is that a lot of the audience had previously been turned off by movies like Batman and Robin and Catwoman, and had to be won back over. So when Batman Begins came out, it wasn't like they were just ready to buy into this. They needed proof in the pudding. So as word of mouth began to build about how special and different and unique Batman Begins was, there was a massive run on the DVDs. And I think it was within a week, you couldn't find a Batman Begins DVD anywhere when Dark Knight came out. Mm-hmm. And Warner had to go back into like emergency pressings and get lots more copies out there. Most people to this day saw Batman Begins either on a DVD, a VHS, or on TV, not on the big screen.
I never saw the movie in a sold-out theater. I saw the movie about 5 times in theaters, and it was pretty empty each time. And it just goes to show how strong the DVD sales were for the movie.
It really was. And I think, I'm trying to think if there's any other situation like that. Possibly Terminator. Possibly Terminator had the same situation. Maybe Rambo, where people then went back to see First Blood. Mm-hmm. That might have been similar, but it was very unique. It was very, very unique. And I think it's the hidden star. There are other hidden stars. 2 points I always try to make is some of the most brilliant Batman stories ever came out of the animation team. Absolutely brilliant. And you look at people like Bruce Timm, Eric Radomski, Andrea Romano, Mark Hamill, Kevin Conroy, Alan Burnett, Paul Dini. I'm afraid of leaving people out. But these folks are brilliant with what they executed. Brilliant. And I go back to Mask of the Phantasm, which I still contend is one of the greatest Batman stories of all time. The Mr. Freeze episode. You know, they deserve all the accolades in the world. And lastly, and probably most importantly, the comic book folks. For 80 years, every Wednesday, you go to a comic book store looking for the next Batman. You're still interested to see what happens to him next, who the next villain's going to be. To bring you back to a store every week for 80 years, how does that get done? So the brilliance of generations of writers, artists, editors, colorists, letterers, publishers, it's an amazing accomplishment. And unfortunately, the comic book folks just don't get the spotlight the way they should. It's kind of like Comic-Cons these days. Spotlight keeps shifting to Hollywood instead of on the comic books where they really should be. So I always like to make a point of that.